Hello, everyone and no one. Another night. I am here now thinking I really need to talk about, well, as always, where I am. And I am working, I shouldn't say working, but I am noticing resistance, thinking about some future events. So, as you know, I am trying to share Rupert Spira's teachings on non-duality. I'm not trying to share the actual teachings. I am trying to share a student, which is me, going through these shared experience of Rupert that he's brought about in the way of teachings, which he doesn't like to call teachings. He doesn't like himself to be called a teacher, let's put it that way. He likes to be called a friend, and I would like to call him that as well, even though I haven't met him. But his teachings are very valuable to me as far as bringing us back to the knowledge of our connection to one another and the planet and the universe and everything and everyone that emanates from awareness, which is the ever-present being. So I have talked about this in many different ways, but what you're seeing is a student experiencing these things without prior lessons of this particular way of this perspective of seeing our true nature. So I've read a lot of books and I've studied a lot of people, and then I have certainties that I've experienced in my life through feeling and not had the equipment or thought process to be able to put it together so that it could be understood in a verbal expression. So, and it didn't have an understanding along with it. I just felt that we are all connected and made from the same stuff, but I never could actually put the understanding or connect the understanding to being a truth. So it would end up being more like a belief if you're unable to connect it with understanding in words, because we tend to communicate in words, and when you're communicating to yourself, you don't have to communicate in words, because when you know something, you feel that it's right and you know it. And that's kind of where I come from. Is once again, same story. When I was 12, out in behind the back fence of our yard, I was standing there and feeling very disconnected, but I was there by myself and in the open space and just in the nature of it all, and the wind and the stars and the trees, and I just knew right then and there that there was this ever presence, this stuff the trees were made of, the stuff the sky was made of, the stuff we were made of, all of us. And I knew. And so the way I tell this story is the best way I can, and that is I put it in my back pocket and went back into my life. Went back to my life. Went inside the house. And that was to never really be shared. It was private. I felt that it wouldn't be understood because I had no expression in words to explain it except for how I just put it to you, but I knew it would be ridiculed and laughed about and things like that, so I didn't ever bring it up except privately, and maybe I tried to express in poems and different things. Feelings, be they painful or about this oneness. Anyway, so I couldn't make sense of it. It was just strictly a feeling. So there were lots of books that I read that would spontaneously spark a belief that I might want to grab a hold of, but then I'd find another belief along the way and pull that one in when it came to a little logic and trying to understand and put pieces together of what life is all about. And so grabbing this and that along the way, and it always changing. Along with everything else, it would always change, a different belief or a different thing. But that one feeling in my back pocket never changed, and it was always there and still is, and now it's making its way out because of Rupert Spira. I feel like it's making its way out of me through the fear of doing it. So fearful of doing this and coming to terms with that, facing it, looking at myself on this video, talking most of the time with all these pauses and uncertainties, but just facing it and trying to put together my thoughts of in my own way, because in the beginning of these videos, well, all along, I have to keep pulling from Rupert's words. And so, but I'm not sharing his, I could never say anything that I say, pulling from his words that would, they're out of context. So you can't listen to me when it comes to Rupert Spira's teachings. They're his way of sharing the understanding of this stuff that everything and everyone comes from, and how this plays out, or how this is experienced through life, in life, or just how it's experienced. It's just talking about being and experiencing that. So when we're and he also makes a very good description of, which has helped me get all this confusion of words and thoughts together to understand and explain as a student how this is coming together for me. Because in the beginning, just pulling from Rupert's words is leaving me high and dry, because that's the only way. I mean, they touch me, and they mean, they explain things to me, but it deepens when you bring it in and you bring it out of you from your experience and your way of seeing it. It's the same thing, but in all of our different perspectives, it comes out a little different. But that illusion of a separate self is so dynamic because we live with that, thinking that we are the separate self, and it's so strong. And that separate self fights for control and its life. It doesn't want to be annihilated, and it does. It's there. So even in your meditation or your silence or your prayers or all of these things, and people saying, well, that's just life and that's just the way you are. Well, it is just the way you are and just life, but it doesn't get down to what's behind that and the truth of yourself. So all of this on the outside is built. It's built. It's strong, and it's been built all your life by listening to others and by society and through being in the world with others. And I don't like to even say the word others, because we are all connected, and sometimes when you use the word others, you're separating yourself, and that's what we do. But that's an illusion. That's the part that it's not an illusion in that it's not real. It's just how we're seeing ourselves is not understood by us fully. So we've hooked onto ourselves, even when we think that we're one with the universe or whatever, we still find that we have this rock solid identity that's enclosing us in a way that limits us to our expression, and it's what causes all the suffering that we feel. It's what causes all the judgment and all this jealousy and all of this and all of that, and all these negative emotions come from that enclosure of how we've created ourselves, our identity, without even realizing it, because as a child, we're just absorbent. So we're going to be mimicking the world around us, and that's how it all begins. So we start with that, and then we pile on more and more and make that identity thicker, and sometimes we don't like something about ourselves, and we're trying to do this and that, but it isn't come together. It doesn't come together as a full understanding of what we're doing. It's more like a confusion, because we have this longing to know. We have this longing to be fully who we are. We have this longing to be free. We don't want these limitations. We want to get to the purity of who we are and feel that peace and that love of our absolute purest source, or where we come from. We want to go, we want to be there, we want to feel that. So that's we're drawn to feel that, because awareness being awareness just being is so open and so ever present and so everywhere, that by being us, by us emanating from that, it's not fragmenting itself, because then it wouldn't be the all one. It would be many pieces instead of the all one ever-present awareness. And we aren't a bunch of little awarenesses running around, encompassed in these bodies with a right of our own to be. And but that's how we see ourselves, and we're just bumping into each other like bumper cars, and having, restrictions, and stop, don't get near me, or don't this, or don't that, or you have all this resistance. And that's the subject I'm trying to get to by going through all this process of explaining it as resistance, because that's the thing. It seems like I have labeled and pulled things apart inside of myself so that I can see what needs to be understood, and what is understood, and get out of the spider web of things that I've put inside of me, that these concepts that I've saved and made as I just take for granted, because they're experiences that I've had that I didn't take all the way back to its beginning to see where it came from or how I got it. I've just packaged it in there, and it's just a part of me that I have never known I could actually find out what it is, understand it, and change it, or understand it more, and not so much change it, but to understand it more means that when you understand something more, it's no longer what it was, it's more than what it was. So it's, if you take something restricted and you understand it, then it opens up. It's not as restricted anymore, because that understanding opens it. And then there might be more that you need to understand, and that if you understand it some more, will open more. And so that's what I'm finding I have simply recognized, or that's where I am right now, is these restrictions popping up. So I seem to have understood a lot of the superficial, the things that I've loaded on that I guess were easy to get to and understand, and have them lighten and fall away. But now that I'm getting deeper, I just see things as restrictions now. I can feel myself tighten up when there's I used to think of myself as just falling apart when I was overloaded, or things I couldn't understand, because I would just not be able to handle or cope with too many things going on at once. My mom used to say that, don't give her two things at once to do, because she can't do two things at once. And I don't like to do two things at once. I like to give all my all to what I'm doing, and then go to the next thing. And I like to complete it. And so as a child, that's kind of that was my survival mechanism. Because I really didn't think, sometimes you don't think like people think much of you or something like that, so you're rather insecure, and so you're say the thing that helps you is to know that when you do something, you do it your all, and then you complete it, and then you move to the next. That fit makes you personally feel like like you're doing good, like you're doing the best you can. And it's like never don't lie, because that's one thing you can hold on to say or not to say. It has nothing to do with say. It makes you feel whole, or you don't feel like you're all fragmented if you're living in lies and telling them and this, that, and the other. And that's the same with understanding anything. If you're pulling things apart and you're just got all this mass confusion, you're going to be very unstable. And so if you're needy, it's best to put things together so that you're not so needy, so that you can do life. And so right now is what I'm talking. The topic that I really wanted to go for was the resistance, because when that pops up, I just feel myself tighten up. Because I know that, and it's usually a futuristic thing, like there's something. It's not always a futuristic thing. It can be right in front of you, and you're not communicating with someone. You feel like you're talking a different language with someone, and they want you to do something or something like that, and you don't understand, and that can make you really feel that you feel lost because of that communication that's missing. Well, that's the same thing about a future thing. If you have something future coming up and you know that the communication hasn't been there, and you know that you want it to be, so but you don't know, you can't make that happen. So that restriction comes from a place of wanting, I'm trying to trace this back. Now, this is just real life, I do these things right on the screen here. I know that's seems like a vulnerable thing to do, but it's really, for me, it's like hitting it head on and owning it. So so for me, that understanding that it's coming from that place of wanting to fix it. And again, I think I was mentioning before about us trying to live in this identity, and my identity is breaking. It's I feel like I've said this before, I feel like a puzzle piece that's separated. So I'm kind of getting a little more freer, and it feels good. But then, like, if I have something coming up and I feel that resistance, everything comes back together, and I want to be it's that separate self wanting to not lose, it wants to keep itself strong, it wants to be there. And I don't know why that. I guess that's because if you are expecting something that hasn't had very good communication, or someone or something that, is not communicated well, and it's vague, and um, it's not that there's a lot of things come along that you don't know, and it's not fearful or anything, but in this case it would be like having experienced it before, and it was vague and stayed vague, and never, the communication wasn't there, and it's somebody close to you, um, and you want it to be. You want it to be there, but that's, like I said, I'm trying to analyze this, or I'm trying to think about it, and that seems like it's coming to a place of wanting to fix it, and instead of just love it and be open and not be so attached to the thing in front of you that is asking for your attention. Like the dishes, you just do them. They need your attention, so you do them. The house is dirty, it needs your attention, so you clean it. It seems very simple, right? So I am trying to look at why this restriction just bloop comes up, and you're walking with these restraints. You can feel it. You can feel tight. You're not relaxed and comfortable and free. So, and there again, because I've had other videos that talk about being, when I am, which a lot of the time I am in the now, and giving myself to the moment, or don't want to use space-time language, but you are right here now and enjoying that, just being, and there's nothing in the way, and you feel open and peaceful and loving. It's wonderful. So, there again, that's being right here, right now. And my friends, I guess that's what it's all about. Being here, right now, instead of being in the future, or expecting something, or trying to fix something, or even if something's in front of you and it's the communication isn't there, isn't back and forth, or there's misunderstanding, or you're trying to clarify, and the other person might get a little louder, and so you get a little quieter, and of course I've seen myself get louder too, which is not what I'm talking about now. But usually you try to, recognize your tension, and so you're going to make an effort to relax and go back into that source, and realize that, or just be here now in that space, and listen and be open, so that you can understand it, because if you put up any resistance at all and then you continue to try and understand the energy going back and forth in front of you from someone, you are definitely not going to allow the communication through. If you're tightening up, that just blocks things. That just keeps things out. So that's what I forget. Or I don't know if I forget. I just haven't thought through this enough to and been with it enough to let it be. So we'll see how this understanding, having talked about it, and I've written about it, and be with it, and it's the attention I'm placing on it. Just by noticing the restriction. Well, I don't feel restricted now just by noticing what I'm saying, but I think saying and putting the words of understanding and realizing where it could be coming from is past and future, comparisons, this, that, and the other. So I know better than that, but I think some things that are past and present have more strength to them, so you have to strengthen your understanding and the words you've put together to keep that understanding close until it's just natural for you to, and I'm just, for me, I'm talking about me when I say you, so it's just because I'm talking to nobody, I'm just talking, so or somebody, or I don't know, but anyway, so just by noticing the restriction process, feeling it come on board, the resistance of, there it is again. See, then Rupert pops out at me and says, Rupert's saying to me, when that pops up, when that resistance pops up, don't give it anything. Don't try to get rid of it. That's what he would say. Don't try to get rid of it. The minute you try to get rid of it, you're feeding it. And that's what I'm doing. The minute I feel it, I want to try to get rid of it. That's it. I don't know. That seems so simple, right? But that's exactly what I'm doing. So, I need to carry that with me so that I can catch it better. Not even catch it. Well, just like a thought that goes by. You just let it go on by. You don't grab it. There's so many thoughts that go by, and they need to just go by, because you have thoughts. You're this thoughts and feeling container. So if we take every thought, we'll be a mess. We have to. That's where we get really confused. So we just latch on to the ones that want to build and create and let the others go on by. So, when restriction comes up, I'm going to have to treat it like a thought. Just let it go on by. So, that's the difference of the clothes you wear from being this or thinking you're this separate self. You think you're this separate self and that you've got this cloak on, but you're just covering your true self. So we have so much more than what we realize. Is so beautiful. Anyway, I think I'm going to go to bed now. That was good for me. So, no one and someone, hope you had fun listening to this person ramble on about things that she thinks is very precious and important. That'd be me. Not me that's precious and important, it's me that is rambling and not really rambling. I'm understanding out loud with you, or not you, with no one or someone. Good night.